YouTube, what is up? We are back with another day. We're going to hit part 2 of our yesterday's leg day. We're going to finish up with some sprints today. I guess start with some sprints, but we didn't get the sprints yesterday. So we're going to do some sprints today. We're going to go uphill sprints, downhill skips, some cool stuff out there. I'm going to walk out there in a little bit and rip those. And then we got some deadlifts for sure today. I know that. And then some accessories right before league, and then go rip some league and hit some softballs and hit some bombs. So kind of like this high frequency approach. I need to set up my schedule just a little bit better. I feel like I mentally fatigue just a little bit way before I physically fatigue. When I do everything in one day, kind of throw all my jumps, sprints, lifts, everything on one day. It's just too long of a session for my brain, especially when I'm hitting BP before. And I feel like I get much more out of it if I do a high frequency approach. So we're gonna mess around with a couple things and do it, and it kind of works out perfect. So yesterday we had a good snatch day, good jump day. Probably could have did the jumps a little bit more aggressively, but good warm-ups with the jumps, good snatches yesterday. Today we'll hit some deadlift sprints and some accessories, some armor building stuff for the lower body. Tomorrow we'll get back to upper body and go from there. But let's rip it. Let's go hit some sprints. Let's do it. All right, today's speed session. I just found a hill right next to the gym, and we're doing some downhill skips here. Just trying to focus on letting gravity take me, be nice and relaxed down this hill. These honestly weren't as cool as I thought they were going to be, but we go on to the next. We got some uphill sprints here, just working on the acceleration phase of this max velo day. I like to start with some acceleration movement problems, and haven't done some uphill sprints in a while, and I felt like my ability to take off out of the box recently in softball hasn't been amazing, so I'm going to work on the force aspect just a little bit longer. Once I've been cooking in softball, but I feel like those first 2 steps have been a little bit slower. Then we're finishing off with a couple downhill sprints here and get into lifting. All right, just finished up sprints. We're going to rip these deadlifts. I'm going to hit 5 sets of 3. I'm going to try my best to do a better job of building up my deadlifts and not just meat hitting my deadlifts. I feel like I've done a really poor job of meat hitting my deadlifts and really never actually working on it. I listened to Angus Bradley's video on sprinting, and he was really struggling doing B skips, right? And I thought that was fucking hilarious because Angus is a really good athlete, sprints way better than me, like hop skips, everything like way better than me. And one of the things that got me thinking, it's like, the importance of learning movements when you're young and how much you just keep that movement literacy is so important. We did B skips all the time as kids. And again, I'm not saying my B skips are perfect, but like I can do B skips without like having an issue with the rhythm, without having any problems with like doing it or any mental barrier to doing it. And Angus, who's a much better like mover, especially in the track world, struggles to do them. And I think there's a lot that comes down to movement literacy. And I bring that up because deadlifting is something that was sworn off in our program as a kid, right? And it was told it was going to hurt you, it was told it was pointless, it was told it was a bad exercise, it was told it was going to make you into a meat lifter, and you're going to break your back, as we were like, we were deadlifting every single time when we're cleaning and doing all these things, right? So I think I think that's one of the really big important things to having a movement literacy in your young athletes, right? Because you keep and you build these things up for the rest of your life. You don't teach a B skip to a kid, you don't teach a kid how to skip. For the rest of his life, he's gonna have that mental barrier. And again, obviously you can break out of that, right? Like Angus is working on breaking out of it. I'm working on breaking at deadlifts, but it's so much easier if you just start when you're young and you teach these kids when you're young and you stop demonizing movements when you're young. Otherwise, it takes a long time to catch back up. It's much easier to teach a kid how to deadlift and they keep that for the rest of their life rather than trying to learn how to deadlift when you're fucking 25 years old, right? Or try to learn how to B skip when you're 30 or whatever Angus is, right? So I think there's a lot to movement literacy as a kid and just trying to expand your young athletes' movement profile, the movement base that they have, so that when they are adults and they want to maximize the things that they can do, they don't have to go relearn the movements, right? So I think that's one thing I just got to do a better job of with the deadlifts is not, I see so many people deadlifting a shitload of weight, and I know it's a thing that a lot of people did all the time. It's a thing that I know I have athletes that can't squat 275 that can deadlift 500 pounds, and a lot of that's levers too, but it's such like a meathead thing that it's like benching one plate. Like you should be able to do it. Everybody knows how much you should deadlift. So I get in my head when I'm deadlifting. I just fucking suck at deadlifting. I just need to do it more and be better at it rather than being a fucking meathead every single time I do it. Especially if I want to get my Olympic lifts up, right? I think the pull off the ground, like I hang clean almost as much as I regular clean, and I hang snatch as much as I regular snatch, right? More right now, right? I think a lot of that has to do with my first pull, just ass, and it's something I can build up and embrace. And I thought Angus's video on embracing sucking at a B skip, it was cool because I suck at deadlifts, and I'm gonna try and embrace that and not be a fucking meathead the whole time. So we're gonna hit 5 sets of 3 today, and not try to be an ego freak. Probably gonna end up being one at the end, but whatever. You know what I mean. Let's get it. So I'm going to do here, just standing on the plate because slight deadlift variations. One, just help me deadlift without having to overthink it. And they always feel better if I just do slight variations on it. So we're just going to keep spicing it up, whether it's a more challenging deadlift or not. Something weird about deadlifting, that if I spice it up, it feels better. So let's get it. Whee! Last set probably here unbelted, and then probably one more set until we use straps. Kind of just like using the first couple sets to get a little bit of stimulus in the lower back and the grip work as we're going. But as we get heavier, strap up, belt up, be able to use those things. Again, I think not having anything else but your grip or but your legs being the limiting factor is an important thing on the deadlifts. Something that I was really anti against. It was taught to be anti against as a kid. And then like went through this whole journey of like teaching myself that using a belt is okay. Just because so many people have told you for so long that it's not okay. Kind of silly. And I just downloaded Juju Mufu's book. I just got a smelling salts for softball as a joke. We're going to use them in this next tournament for, I got a Carney tournament in 2 weeks that I'm going to use them for, surprise everybody with them. But download one of his ebooks, and he even talks about some of like the dangers of using a belt and not. And Juju's stuff, I fucking love Juju. Dude's a fucking man. But I think a lot of those messages kind of just peppering people over and over again about certain things being bad. He talks about pressing being bad. It's just a lot of things being bad with not a lot of context, and it's like your hero. So it's like, if Juju was my hero growing up and I was a 14, 15-year-old kid downloading that book, I'd read it and be like, oh, belts are bad. I can't use belts because Juju said not to use belts, right? And he talks about the benefits. He actually did provide good context for his belt description, but some of this pressing description was very non-contextual based. It's just like, pressing's bad. You should do a lot of pulling stuff. And it's like, there's a lot of danger in that. A lot of kids look up to people. A lot of kids look up to like these super athletes, and then they say things like that, and then they stick. And these kids tell themselves these stories without really thinking about these stories, and kind of get silly. And I've fallen into those traps before with some of my heroes in the past, and I think we need to just be a little bit more careful with the words we say. Anyways, all that to be said, last set without the straps and without the belts here. Let's rip it. Honestly, I think that's the biggest thing that pisses me off about people like Boyle, too. It's just like, they don't even know what the fuck they're saying. They don't even know the effects of their words. Like, they just say it because they're so, like, self-righteous in, like, their words, and they just can't smell their own bullshit. And they can't see the effects that they have. Like, they're telling kids they can't squat, and they have a whole fucking generation of kids that think they can't squat ever because it's super dangerous because one of their heroes said so, right? Again, there's not that there's obviously a reason these people are heroes. Like, that there is good in them. There's something that they have that people are attracted to, that they believe in. That part is good. But most people mix up the part of them that is good with all their other bullshit that they have, right? And I do it as well, right? Like, I try to eliminate those things. I try to be self-aware, but obviously not everybody's perfect. And if you just, I think that's one of the big things, like when you reach a certain level, then they just, like, Boyle's big thing is just blocking everybody that disagrees with him, blocking anybody that points out any of his bullshit theories, right? And it's such a dangerous thing because then you can never see the bad. You just, you have people are attracted to you because of your good, and you can't see all of your other bullshit that is there, and you just keep spouting it out to everybody, and then you have a generation of kids that fucking is super fragile, and you got to break them out of that mindset, right? But again, you're starting them off. Like, Boyle is notorious for training like 12-year-olds, right? Like, he always talks about how he trains middle schoolers all the way to college athletes, right? So he's starting with that thought process when they're in middle school. Do you know how hard it is to break kids out of thought processes that you beat into them when they're in middle school? It's really hard. Trust me, I've been taught deadlifts were bad since middle school, right? And I had to break myself out of that thought process for forever, right? So it's like, I think that's one of the really big dangers of having something special about you, being a hero, right? Because there is good when you are a hero. There's something there that people are attracted to, whether it's your charisma, whether it's your ability to bullshit, whatever it is. There's something that attracts people to you, and then you mix all of that good up with all of your other horse shit, and then most people reach a certain level to where they just stop listening to other people, right? And when they stop listening to other people, then they really just confuse all their bullshit with their good, and they spread it to everybody, right? So I just think we need to be way more aware of the things that we say, especially to young kids, especially to young athletes, and look at the long-term effect we have on these kids, right? Like, we should not be fear-mongering movement to middle schoolers. It's silly. Anyways, that last set felt good enough not to use belts and straps, so we're gonna rip. Let's go. for the high schoolers and newbie lifters, I wanted to show this because I have a lot of high schoolers that I watch try to put on deadlift weight and they just sit there and fucking monkey around with the bar and can't get it. Grab a small plate right here. 10-pound plate will do perfect. Put it underneath the weight that you're doing. Roll it on top here, just like this, so it elevates it. Then throw your plates on right there. Okay, so that's a nice little hack of the day, nice little simple trick of the day for the people that don't know it. I didn't know it when I was a high schooler either. I was doing the same shit, trying to monkey with the weight. But I see so many, even my own athletes. I'm like, bro, just put the plate underneath, you'll be perfect. Much easier, saves you some time. Let's get it, let's go. Ooh, probably one more set, right around that weight. Then we'll, yeah, one more set. We'll stick with the original plan and not me hitting. Once I get to kind of heavier sets, I stop feeling into pull and just kind of feel it, like as a general, just like everything kind of hurts. Not the worst thing in the world. Again, even with squats, I'm not feeling specific quad parts, but especially when I'm trying to get better at the deadlift, I'm gonna try and feel hamstrings, glutes, and feel that hinge a little bit better. Well, let's go. Whee! Let's go. All right, on to some accessories, and we'll go from there. Let's get it. Then, first armor building thing we got, little glute bridge. ISO, make sure I'm in the camera. Might have gotta go a little bit this way. Legs right there. We're thinking, come up into this glute bridge. I'm pulling, stepping my heels in the ground, and then pulling this way. So I'm trying to pull this way, get those hammies going. 2 minutes. This one's fucking spicy. Let's get it. Here we go. You want to check your athletes. You can kind of just sit there, toes pointed, hammies won't really go. You really want to be up, pulling the hamstrings this way. Nice and money. Let's go. I like these post deadlift, post or pre deadlift, just to get those hammies working, feeling again. Makes them feel buttery, makes them feel like you got a lot of work done in there. Takes a little bit of that wear and tear off that lower back. And it's a nice one. It's a nice one. I'm really just talking to kind of get through the 2 minutes here. Let's go. Never listen to anything I say during an ISO. I'm literally just yapping. Woo! Let's get it spicy. Come on. 2 seconds. Okay, perfect. Ooh! Oh, that one is nice. Single leg, obviously, even better there. That's just a really good one, especially for really quad dominant athletes. Get those hamstrings firing, feel those hammies. Again, you can do this for short durations before you deadlift. I've done those before, short durations before you squat, short durations even before you sprint if you want them to kind of bias that hamstring feel. But it's like I feel like 3 different parts of my hammy right now that I never feel. It's amazing, feels awesome. So we're gonna get to, we got some knees up, we got some ATG exercises next. We'll get to those, let's go. So bench Patrick got to us and we are doing some sissy squats. Actually, just kidding. Range of Strength had these on his story. Pigeon toe, sissy squats, getting those knees over top of the toes, knees touching in. You get a really good quad pump, hip pump here again. Nothing wrong with ATG exercises. I made a post on this. I mean, it's the overhypedness and the over promises of the ATG exercises, right? Doing sissy squats, doing Jefferson curls, good, great exercises, right? Promising that if you do sissy curls or sissy squats and Jefferson curls by themselves, that you'll be able to randomly dunk and increase your vertical. It's a really, really stupid argument, right? Do these things because they're good movements, right? And then they're good quad pumper or they work something that you want to work. Don't do these because it's going to be the magic end all be all cure to anything. And don't do any exercise for that reason. But we got knees in here, squeezing everything, coming back. There, these feel like money, a little starfish. Oof. Ooh. Yeah, let's get the hips fired up, ready to go. let's get to some DJ Murakami Jefferson curls. Then DJ Murakami was the first guy to show me these. We got these cable resisted Jefferson curls. I really like these. I really like these for my athletes. I really can't get into the Jefferson curl position. I think a lot of times the best Jefferson curls is kind of just more a test of your limb length and how you can fold up. Like really long athletes, they're kind of just amazing at Jefferson curls right away. And then those athletes go on to like show how crazy they are at Jefferson curls. And I had a 14-year-old do a Jefferson curl the other day where he's like completely folded up, touching the ground on top of like a ridiculous, but I think it was like a 30-inch box. It was insane. But he's just, his fucking arms go to his ankles, bro. It's crazy. But these are money for building up that Jefferson curl position for a lot of squattier athletes. And guys that don't fold quite as well, don't have quite the wingspan that we'd like. Wish God would have gave us, wish we would have picked better parents. But I'm gonna fold over here, nice and relaxed. Pressing through, the weight really makes you drive through that range of motion. And I'm gonna touch the ground. I'm gonna unlock my knees to get there, just to get that extra range of motion here. Obviously you wanna stay straight if you're ideal there. And we're coming back up, and we got 8 of these. These are really nice. Really like these post. I like Jefferson curls post deadlift. Just getting that spine to segment again. Obviously not super heavy ones post deadlift, but just getting that spine to segment again after the deadlifts has always made my back felt better. So we're gonna keep doing them. Let's go. Money. Let's get to these single leg stands. Woo! Then we got one of my personal favorites for the hips. Oh, call it a hip stabilizer drill, I guess. We got single leg stands. We put the weight in the opposite hand that the hip is working. So this leg's standing, this leg's gonna be up. I'm gonna wait for this timer to go 8, 9, 10. We're gonna stand up, and then we're gonna get this leg straight, and then we're gonna try to fall into this side. This leg is gonna be working like fucking crazy, this glute specifically. I really like this one when my glute's been bugging me in softball. This glute a lot of times is the decelerator for my swing, gets pulled. I've been having a little bit of issues again. It kind of flared back up 3 weeks ago. It's been feeling good recently, but it takes a beating in softball, and this one really, really makes it feel like money. We're trying to stand as tall as possible, get this leg up, grab a heavy weight in that other hand, and you're just holding for a minute. Ooh. Switch sides. Thing I notice when I do these, I like to twist that foot in, and it kind of like helps balance everything. I think the more I get that toe straight, I twist it out, the better it works that hip, the more I feel it. Just a little tip there. Not sure if it's for everybody, but works for me and a lot of the athletes. I see them kind of default to that falling pattern. Oh my God, eating shit. Come on. Woo! Let's go. Let's hit some hops and we're out ski. All right, then we got this. This one's from hell. A little 8-vector hop for 1 minute here, holding a med ball in this deep squat position. I think it's fire for the ankles, foot to get into that 8-vector pattern and hopping out of that deep tier position, getting hips jumping in and out of that deep tier position in all 8 vectors. Super nice, super valuable, but it sucks. Let's get it. Holy fuck. Oh, no break. One more round. Woo. I went kick my ass. That was harder than I thought. Do another little, one more set here. Give it 20 seconds. All right, that was fucking ass. Oh my God, quads are on fire, hips are on fire. Really good day. I like splitting up that training split the way I did it. Might have to do that more often. I feel like I got a little bit more out of it, splitting up into the 2 days with some upper body tomorrow. Right from there, let's go. Woo. Shit, that sucked. God damn.